welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Teena Jha. The United Nations Development Programme has lauded India's Aspirational Districts Programme, saying it has resulted in sectoral growth and improvements in governance and administration. An independent appraisal report by the UNDP described it as a very successful model of local area development that should serve as a best practice for several other countries where regional disparities in development status persist. It said the set of predetermined indicators provided by the program has helped the district administration to focus on specific targets and sectors instead of broad government schemes or new initiatives. In fact, the UNDP report also commended the Delta rankings provided on ADP's Champions of Change dashboard, saying the competitive and dynamic culture fostered by it has successfully pushed several low-performing districts to improve their standing in the past 3 years. The Aspirational Districts Programme was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in January 2018. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will discuss the UNDP appraisal report that was presented by UNDP India Resident Representative Shoko Noda to NITI Aayog Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar and CEO Amitabh Kant. And we'll also talk about the impact of the Aspirational Districts Programme that has earned it the recognition of being a successful model of local area development. And for this, I'm joined by two distinguished panelists on the program. Let me first introduce them to you. I have with me Mr. Rakesh Ranjan. He is Mission Director, Aspirational Districts Programme, NITI Aayog, and Mr. A.K. Bhattacharya, Editorial Director of the Business Standard. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on The Big Picture today. Mr. Ranjan, let me first extend my congratulations to you and your team at NITI Aayog for being lauded by the UNDP for this initiative. And let me now begin the discussion. First of all, your views on the evaluation report. How well do you think has it captured the progress of the Aspirational Districts Programme?
First thing first, we are very thankful to UNDP because we always felt that this is a great program. Architecture-wise, structure-wise, this is a program where you can develop a template of developing a difficult and remote area. And that can be applicable, as UNDP has also stated in the report, that it can be used as a template for underdeveloped regions in any part of the world. So I'll take 1 or 2 minutes to tell you what precisely this program is, because many of the viewers know about the program, but if I can tell you the strategy part, the program for the first time find out that what is very important thing in the life of women of the citizen, and chooses the key performance indicator which the government can provide, which the sectors are health and nutrition, the sector are school education, agriculture, water resources, financial inclusion, skill development, and basic infrastructure. So these important sectors, the key performance indicators have been selected, and this is the very large program, one of the great experiment in the world, that all the progress of these indicators are captured on the dashboard on real-time basis. Mm-hmm. And what we bring out is that we realized that the districts when we started, were very, very backward. So we realized that if you just go by the competition, that where have you reached, then the good district will always do well. So what we felt was that the competition will be done on Delta ranking, as you have said in the initial remark. That what we do is that every month we find out in the last month which district has done the best, and we find out the ranking. Now, let me tell you that if the competition lies with the district team, that who can provide better, and you bring out the ranking and bring out in the public domain, then everybody takes note, and the district teams get very, very enthusiastic about improving their performance. So this is the main crux, that you do the real-time monitoring, you rank the district and make it very clear to the district team that the good work will be applauded, but the bad work cannot be swept under the carpet. Everybody is watching you. So work with the team spirit and the healthy competition. And what is important is that it is not a program for providing large fund to the district. We are not providing any great extra fund to the district. What we are trying to tell them is that both your state government and your central government are launching large number of programs. So you try bringing efficiency in that program. The last thing about this great architecture is that we attempted to build experience in the program. So what we felt was that there would be a joint secretary or additional secretary rank officer from Government of India as a central Prahari officer for each of the district to guide the district and to see that, because they have a lot of experience, they are from the same state, and they can guide the district that how you can bring more efficiency to the program. And the last thing, ever wonder why we call it aspirational district program? This is what the Honorable Prime Minister told us when we started the program in January 2018. If you call a program backward district program, in the first place, there is a sense of helplessness in the people. So what we want to do is, we want to generate a sense of hope in the whole population that, look, I mean, there may be years of neglect or years of difficulty because of the difficult areas, but you can be equal development partner in all the growth stories. In fact, you can do much better.
So, absolutely. So that sense of hope, that sense of optimism is there in the program.
Yes.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Mr. Ranjan. Let me go across to Mr. Bhattacharya at the moment and understand from him what, according to him, are the reasons behind the success of this program. Mr. Bhattacharya, the ADP, the Aspirational Districts Program, was launched by Prime Minister in January 2018. And in just a little over 3 years, we've seen the program today being lauded by the UNDP as a very successful model of local area development. What, according to you, are the factors that you think have led to this initiative bringing about progress in districts where it matters the most?
Well, I think, everybody is by and large is conversant with the key features of this program in the sense that, how many districts in how many states and what is the modus operandi of the way the developmental parameters are measured. And that becomes a trigger for the districts to excel themselves in those areas of agriculture, health, nutrition, skill development, financial inclusion, and so on and so forth. But I think one area which this program actually underlines and which was long overdue is the focus on the third tier of governance. In a sense that this is a country where governance has to operate at 3 tiers. One is the central tier, and the second is the state tier, and the third is the district or the municipality or whatever you want to call it, the third tier. Now, this aspirational district development program, in my view, actually, coherently brings the focus on this third tier of governance, which is very critical and touches every individual living in those districts. Now, as Mr. Ranjan mentioned, that the idea of calling them aspirational district itself is actually gives them hope. And therefore, the focus is not to identify the problem areas, but to see that in what way the problem areas, which is quite well known, quite well documented, but they need to be monitored in a way that those districts can excel and overcome those hurdles. So it's very clear that in the first 3 years of the scheme, it has made the desired progress. And actually, if you look at the UNDP report closely, it shows that the success of this program has actually raised expectations of this program to a new level. I mean, the UNDP report not only lauds the program, but it actually underlines some of the areas which now needs to be focused. For example, it talks about how the new areas, the new criteria could be included, like gender and environment. Could they be included in the parameters for monitoring the performance of these aspirational districts? For example, there is an area of concern about that, to introduce a competitive spirit can actually lead to misreporting or underreporting of data. There is a concern about the capacity building, the aspirational district fellows, how those things. Mr. Ranjan talked about joint secretary level officers monitoring, which is a fantastic idea. But I think the UNDP reports because of its initial grand success, I think the bar has now been set much higher. And I think
Absolutely.
it will be a good idea for us to actually focus on these new benchmarks that the UNDP report highlights, and we have to see how well and how soon we can address those areas which are the new landmarks, the new goals, new parameters, and that will make the success of this program even more pronounced.
Certainly, and not just to maintain the progress that we have gained so far, but also which can be an example for other countries, as the UNDP report points out. Mr. Ranjan, so you've explained to us what this program is all about, how it's implemented, some of the factors we've spoken about that have contributed to its progress. What are some of the best practices that have been undertaken by this program that have acted as a catalyst for expediting development in districts, and which now can serve as an example for the other countries?
Yeah, one of the best practices which will run across all the districts would be that the district magistrate for the first time realized that if there are clear-cut evidence that these are our gap areas, these are our strength areas. Here, what we are doing is that, say, in the transition of the girl child from the primary to the secondary, what the program told them is that, look, in your district, this percentage is this much, whereas in your state, the best is this much, and in the country, the best is people have reached there. So what the biggest best practice of aspirational district program, as I said, I mean, you can talk about district level best practices, but that is something which is based on the local resources, local foresight, and local innovation. But what I would say is that the practice which run across all this thing is that the peer group learning, that if you tell the district team that your neighbors have done this and you can reach much more than this, given your past record and given your trend of improvement, then that has led us to a great deal of success in most of the places. The second best practice that what we said, and that is as Mr. Bhattacharya also talked about to some extent. See, the capacity building is an issue, but we always felt here that if we tell a district that, look, your district administration, your district hospital is not working properly, or the problem of your A&M worker are not making forward visit. Now the question is that either we tell from the central government that how you should do it, or leave it on the imagination of the district administration and try assist them gradually. So what we have found out in this case is that, and that is a learning for all of us, that if you challenge a district, they will find a solution. That is something which is great about this program, that it is not a program from top, though it is led by the Honorable Prime Minister himself. I mean, it is one of the very favorite program. And our CEO also, I mean, it is one of the most reviewed of India. And the other one is that don't do anything alone. It is a team program. So another best practice that what I would say, which run across all the district, is that run it as a team program. What we attempted to do is that a district runs under state government. So their role is critical. And many of the state government, many of the chief minister personally have taken note of this program, have contributed, and have kind of reviewed the program and have encouraged the district magistrate. So what you do is that what we have done in this particular program is the team creation, which the Honorable Prime Minister always said, create a team and then try work on this. So we have a team of central ministry. I mean, while NITI anchors the program, but Central Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, the Ministry of School Education, they are equally important partner of this program. So are the Chief Secretary Office, so are the nodal officers of the state government. So if you, and the third thing which I say is that in the best practice, I'm just talking about processes, because one can keep on going individual best practices, which we keep on tweeting and coming on the social media. But what we have attempted to do is that let not a good work go unnoticed. That is what we have done in this. We have followed this particular mantra in this particular program. And that's why we have a strong social media team on this particular thing. We have requested all district magistrates of 112 districts that we don't conceive and we don't see a district where there can't be a good practice. So you have to tell us what is it that other can learn from you. So on that mode, every day, almost every day, we keep on getting some of the best practice from districts, and we keep on giving it to all the aspirational district, to district magistrate, and to rest of the other districts. That if these districts, the backward districts, can do it, then why not you?
Okay, Mr. Ranjan, you spoke about how challenges lead to solutions. So at the moment, we are up against a huge challenge, that of the COVID-19 pandemic. How has this program, the ADP, helped districts in coping with this unprecedented health crisis?
Yeah, see, the pandemic is difficult. I mean, let us accept this. And almost every part of the world, people have struggled against the pandemic. But what we first realized was that, and this program, it was realized by district magistrate, is that the most vulnerable are the people who are senior citizens in this particular program, especially during the first wave of the program. So we have one of the innovative features of this program is that we have good number of development partners in this particular program, because we realized that there are very large number of good people in this country who actually want to contribute. They have their organization, but they do not have the information, they do not have the mechanism that they can contribute very efficiently. They can do, they're doing a lot of good work. But if you provide a platform, it will do very well. So what we did was that we got hold of Piramal Foundation, and we launched a particular program, which is an outreach program for Surakshit Dada Dadi Nana Nani program, where we generated got hold of so many of the volunteers in all the districts. And almost every elderly citizen was given a call or was reached in one way or another to ask them that, do you have any problem? If you just ask them a problem, half the problem is sorted out. If somebody is going to ask them that, do you have any kind of problem? And the second thing that we realized was that there is a problem with the doctors, because the knowledge about the COVID is very fluid. It's very fluid. Every day you keep on hearing new things. And the doctors in the remote areas are quite confused. Integration of this is a platform called OmniCurious. It is an integration. What we did was that the panel of good doctors, central government or from the senior level doctors, whom we created a panel who can provide the support and the guidance to the block level and to the village level people. Anybody can get trained. Any doctor in the district can get trained on this particular thing. Mm-hmm. So these are then we got with the Gates Foundation, and we said that one of the problem is of the awareness. So together NITI Aayog and Gates Foundation together created India Fights COVID. It's a very, very lively portal on which all the practices which we want to do for the COVID management are there. And since NITI Aayog CEO chairs one of the committee, Empowered Committee, which looks into getting the cooperation of the NGO and civil societies in fighting against the COVID. Okay. So we have on our Darpan, on our portal, NGO Darpan, more than 90,000 NGOs. So we have given the link to each other. So in this COVID, the role of the NITI Aayog and on these districts are, first thing is that yes, pandemic was difficult, and it is still is, keep on giving challenge. Okay, but to use the resources as best as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mr. Bhattacharya, so far we have done well. We've in fact been even lauded by the UNDP. There is of course now need to ensure that the focus on development is encouraged further, number one, and the momentum that we have gained so far in expediting growth is maintained as well. So for the success of the program to be scaled up and also to be replicated in other districts which are still ranking low, what should be the need of the hour? What do you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, see, as I said, the best bet is that if you tell a district that you have done well. Now, if you do badly, then I think people will take it.
So sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you. I'll come back to you for one final question. The question was from Mr. Bhattacharya.
Okay. No, I mean, I think that this question ideally should have been asked to Mr. Ranjan, because from my perspective, I think the way forward should be how soon and in what time frame should these aspirational districts should no longer figure as an aspirational district, but they have already reached their aspirational goals. So I think there has to be some sort of a closure, and that's the way we should really look forward. That, if they remain aspirational districts for more than 5 years, I would imagine that the idea of creating this kind of a ranking and focusing on their development will be defeated. So therefore, I'm sure this must be on the agenda, that there has to be a rolling list, that if certain 112 districts are aspirational districts in year 1, maybe in year 5, these 112 districts will not be aspirational, or maybe out of those 112, 50 will remain aspirational, and the remaining 62 districts will have reached it's like the poverty level calculation, that you have to see it is to be dynamic situation. So I think the way I see it, and if I've looked at the list, the latest list, I do see some developments, and they are very interesting developments for these districts. So, and the state, it is not just that the center is looking at them, but it is the state as well as the district authorities are looking at them. The only one question that maybe Mr. Ranjan can answer is that why is it that the UNDP looks at the possibility of a competitive environment leading to underreporting of data according to the states, according to the aspirational district. Now that's something which I was really puzzled by, that assessment of UNDP. So I could not find an explanation for it. So maybe Mr. Ranjan has closely looked at it.
Yes, of course. Let me take that question
light
to Mr. Ranjan. And sir, also if you could also help us understand the kind of challenges, if there were any, that this program had to face in areas, particularly because most aspirational districts are located in remote areas. Some of them are even there in the left-wing extremist conflict region. So what are the kind of problems that the ADP faced in these areas, and how did it overcome them? This is in addition to Mr. Bhattacharya's
there are three important questions here, and first I will answer to Mr. Bhattacharya.
Yes, sir.
That is that yes, the districts cannot remain aspirational for a very long time. I mean, you have to kind of cull out the districts which have done well. So this is already in process. We have shortlisted districts, around 15 to 20 districts, and we are proposing that they should be removed from the list because they have performed well. They are better than state averages. And we will take up some more districts which might have fallen into a problem, or we might take another 15, 20 districts. So that process is a dynamic program. So that process we will start. We have already found out around 20 districts, and that process is in the process. The second point, which is very important, and Teena, you must understand that this is when you do an experiment on getting the competition at the very ground level. And here what we are saying is that we are asking an ASHA worker that they are reporting, are they kind of doing the work that they were supposed to do? Or the NM worker, are you making forward visit to the pregnant, to the woman who is expecting? Are you making forward visit? Now the problem is, it is true that once you make a high-ranking, high-visible competition, then there may be tendency that there may be under-reporting or there may be over-reporting of the data, because nobody wants to lose their job. So, I mean, they feel that, let me report correctly. So the solution to this is twofold. One is that try having a third-party evaluation. So we have three rounds of third-party survey that we got it instituted in this program, done by our development partner. One, Tata Trust was one of them. The other one is ID Insight, which was, our Gates Foundation. So we had 3 rounds of survey. We took the survey result. We went to household and asked them, are A&M worker visiting you or not? That sends you a very good message to them. And the last point that Teena, you asked, that yes, there are challenges, and how do you take it forward? Because see, if you're at a 40% to going to 60% is not so difficult. If you're 90% going to 92%, start making difference. So how do you handle this particular thing? So first and foremost is that try keep the competitive spirit very, very strong. Second thing, now tell the state government that you have reached, almost reached, but whatever are the manpower problem, basically the grassroots level worker in education, in health, and especially in agriculture extension, can try give priority to these districts because of the remoteness. Nobody want to go. Third thing is that try them, give them a better monitoring of the. We have a very state-of-art dashboard for this. So try this. And the last one, which is very, very important in our opinion, is that try make outreach program, because if you are saturating some of the indicators, there are possibilities that somebody is left. So the idea now is that if you have kind of reached a particular level, let's go by the philosophy that nobody is left behind. Now, the government systems can be very well supported by the civil societies and NGOs if we are able to channelize their energy to actually identify, because आंकड़ों के पीछे, behind data, there are human beings. So let us identify that who is that human being to whom the district administration or the state administration has to reach. So I think the third phase is this particular thing where we want to look at the individual performance of a household. And because now that we have a survey techniques, now that many of the data are being collected and it is regularly reported, so I think it is quite possible, though it is quite difficult. So what we are attempting is take advantage of the civil societies and NGOs and the philanthropies and the other CSR and try reach the last.
So collective effort required for
try not to be
of course. Mr. Bhattacharya, close the show for us.
You're asking me?
Yes.
Ranjan said that, in addition to strengthening the monitoring system, probably we also need to focus a lot on building capacity to undertake this monitoring. I was quite encouraged to hear from Mr. Ranjan that there is a lot of involvement of NGOs and civil society in this exercise, and I think this is a very good sign, and it speaks a lot about the openness of the entire operation then. And so therefore, I think the way forward would be how one can build more capacity so that the success of the scheme is ensured by more close and rigorous monitoring to prevent the unhealthy effects of a competitive competition that normally is used to evaluate the performance of these districts. I think that's the real challenge going forward.
Certainly. So what started as a program for inclusive and all-round development in areas across our country, and we've seen many districts have in fact also witnessed holistic transformation, which has been lauded by the UNDP, but there are several challenges, several recommendations that have been made also in the UNDP report and also pointed out rightly by both our panelists as well. So with that, I'll have to call it a wrap of this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you once again to both my guests for joining me on the program and sharing your thoughts with us on the subject. Pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much for your time. That's it from us on The Big Picture.